Well, in other news now, in several NATO countries like the US, UK and Germany have ruled out deploying troops in Ukraine. This after the French President Emmanuel Macron on Tuesday said troops on the ground could not be ruled out.
No, the only U.S. Military personnel that are in Ukraine are associated with the embassy as part of the Defense Attaché office, and they're doing important work in terms of helping us with the accountability of weapons and systems that are provided to Ukraine. The president's been clear, there's not going to be U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine.
And the NATO chief has denied any such move. However, he insisted that the military alliance will continue to support Ukraine. Kremlin has warned that conflict between Russia and the US-led NATO military alliance would become inevitable if European members send NATO troops to fight in Ukraine. Macron hinted at a possibility of sending troops to Ukraine at a meeting with European leaders in Paris, where countries discussed the formation of a new coalition to supply Ukraine with missiles and bombs of medium and long range.
La priorité des priorités est la question des munitions.
Everything was discussed in a free and direct manner tonight. There was no consensus today to send troops onto the ground in a manner that's official, assumed and endorsed. But on the dynamic, nothing should be excluded. We will do everything so that Russia cannot win this war.
Aller au bout des stocks qui sont encore disponibles, à identifier les pays.
Meanwhile, in Washington, the U.S. President Joe Biden held one of the most intense meetings in the Oval Office over aid to Ukraine that is facing an uphill task in the U.S. Congress. Biden has urged the lawmakers to approve the $95 billion package, which includes $60 billion for Ukraine. Ukraine is losing more territory on the battlefield. It has lost at least 3 major towns in the last fortnight. And for the very latest on this, our correspondent Tony Waterman is now joining us live from Paris. And Tony, well, sending troops to Ukraine would be a major escalation in this war, one fraught with danger, and the NATO seems to be realizing that, and of course also Macron's overstatement there.
Yeah, certainly these remarks that Macron made on Monday night have been swiftly rebuffed by a number of NATO countries, including Germany, Poland, the Czech Republic, Italy, the US, the UK. The list just goes on and on. And you're right. The reason that they did that is because if ground troops were sent into Russia, it would mark a major, major escalation in this war, and it would bring NATO into the conflict, direct conflict with Russia for the very first time. And Russia is, of course, a nuclear powerhouse, and it is not something that Europe in particular wants to wade into. Instead, NATO is saying that it wants to continue to focus on supplying Ukraine with support, whether that's financial support to help rebuild parts of the country that have been destroyed, or whether it's supplying military equipment, tanks, missiles, ammunition. Western allies had said that they were going to supply 1 million ammo rounds by March, which is just a couple of days away now. And Ukraine says that it has received less than 30% of that stockpile. So the focus really right now, according to NATO, is making sure that Ukraine is supplied militarily and not to send ground troops in any form into the country. In fact, Germany's deputy chancellor said that France should really be focusing more on offering weapons. Germany has been supplying a bulk of the weapons on the ground. And France has actually, despite being at the front of this push, has been quite stingy with what it's given to Ukraine so far, both in terms of financial support and military equipment. And so a little jab there between Germany and France. Macron's team did try to walk back these comments a bit, saying that he didn't intend for there to be ground troops on the front lines, but more perhaps sending in teams that would help produce ammunition on the ground or help demine certain areas, but not those types of troops that would actually be on the front lines of battle. But the reason why we had this mass summit, 21 heads of state on Monday, is because this war is now in its 3rd year. We see these major cracks on the front lines in Ukraine. Right. They've been giving up certain territories. They're falling short when it comes to ammunition. So they're really trying to shore up support here in Europe.
Well, absolutely. Tony, thanks very much indeed for joining us with the very latest there with the NATO's thinking on the Ukraine war. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.